Hello and welcome to Eye of Gnosis Tarot. My name is Ewan and today we're looking at the Seven of Cups, which is a stark contrast to the previous card to say the least. Now if you've not seen the previous videos, please do go back and look at the Suit of Cups playlist, and I also highly recommend looking at the Suit of Wands playlist for more context on the numbers of the cards. If you want to skip straight to the Divinatory Interpretations of this card, I have put a timestamp down below, but I do, once again, really do recommend watching the whole video first so you understand what the Divinatory Interpretations actually mean in a greater context. So without further ado, let's look at this Seven of Cups card. So we have here 7 silver cups, arranged in a mockery of the Tree of Life and missing some of the Sephiroth, most notably the supernal triad. The lotus flowers have transformed into tiger lilies now, and they pour this viscous green liquid into the cups. That's overflowing and dripping into this mire that we see at the bottom. The bottommost cup is the largest and it is in the position of Malkuth, and it is overseeing the zodiacal sign of Scorpio, which is kind of almost lost in this brown morass. And above it all we have the symbol of Venus in this cloudy, stormy sky. So what on earth has happened between the last card and this card? So the Seven of Cups is also known as the Lord of Illusionary Success. It is the fall from the delicate balance of 6 that created true pleasure. Here instead we have become lost in the pursuit of more, and more. We have mistaken material pleasure with emotional satisfaction, pursuing fleeting dopamine over stable serotonin. Difficult emotions that point towards a deep wound in us have been substituted with momentary ecstasy or peace. Rather than dealing with our Five of Cups, do go back and look at that card if you don't understand what I mean by that. So instead of dealing with that Five of Cups in order to reach contentment in the Six of Cups, which leads us back to Kether, we have missed the point or slid from it into a messy stream of our own misguided debauchery. Netzach, the Sephiroth of 7, is already an imbalanced Sephiroth, being so low down on the Tree of Life and away from its centre. Now with Venus in Scorpio, there is an overabundance of desire and extreme emotion in this unstable Sephiroth, causing it to overspill. It is as if the process of alchemizing our pain has been interrupted in favour of a quick and vulgar solution which offers a devil's bargain. We have what we want now and we'll deal with the fallout later. Unsurprisingly, the Seven of Cups is heavily associated with the onset of addiction. 7 is normally transformative, much like 5, yet this is a transformation in a deeper and certainly necessary way, and this is if nothing was learnt from our experience in the 5. It's almost a backup plan, the 7, and a painful one at that. Scorpio is also deeply transformative, and together with Venus, it asks us to explore our deepest desires and to ask the question, is this really what I want in life? This question is needed if we are to transform deeply and to transform our ingrained patterns of behaviour that mask the true self. And this in turn will expose to us the downward facing folly of the ego when we do see it in contrast to this true self. 7 desperately fights for what it wants. We saw this in the 7 of Wands, which I highly recommend looking at that video for more context. And in the 7 of Cups, our addictions and illusions will force us to reach such a depth that we will either end in we will either end in our own salvation, and that ending being the ending of the ego, or our own destruction, and that will be the ending of our whole body. It is no accident that Atu 13, the Death Major Arcana, connects Netzach to Tippereth. And I'll just show you this on the Tree of Life. We will go into much greater depth when we look at the Major Arcana, but if we look at the Tree of Life, we see Netzach here, and we see Tippereth here, and we have the Death card joining the two, as the Major Arcana act as these bridges or paths. So whether this death is a metaphorical shedding of our old selves and ego, or a literal ending to our lives, something will be forced to change eventually. So if we find ourselves in the 7 of Cups in our lives, it really does ask us to make a change, and if we don't, we will probably end in a very sticky situation, just like the viscous liquid in this card. But if we do change, there'll be another ending, but it'll be the ending of pain and suffering. Now, speaking of the symbolism in the card, we're just going to go a little bit deeper there. And we're going to begin with the symbolism by taking a quote from the Book of Thoth. And this is quoted by Crowley as calling the 7 of Cups a beautiful shell with a rotten intestine. This perfectly sums up the imagery and symbolism in this card. By all appearances, Venus in Scorpio makes for a luscious and seductive combination. Netzach is the sphere of Venus after all, and therefore we should think that it belongs here. However, there is such a heavy emphasis on the sensuality and experience that the word stop has quite been forgotten. We see this concept in the viscous slime dripping from these cups. Clear symbol of the corruption and imbalance in this card. I didn't hear that, I said imbalance, not balance. Gone is the clear flowing water of the higher Sephiro. Now it has become toxic with impurities and hedonism. And these threaten to destroy the very plant producing it. Venus is associated with the metal copper, which is very conductive, but it is also prone to oxidization. So here we see how that is represented in this card. We could say that this swampy mass is slightly copper in tone, but I think really the point is that whilst copper is conductive, much like pleasure, and we're talking about lower pleasures here, it is also prone to degrade and be corrupted, and that's what we mean by oxidization. So it is very high maintenance copper in order to keep clean, and it also reflects the nature of the 7 of Cups as represented by the verdigris green in the card. So really it's the green viscous slime that is the copper. It's become rusted, and it may get to a point where we have to just throw it out. The transformation of the lotus flowers into tiger lilies shows a shift from spiritual and mindful states of emotion towards self-focused and ego-driven emotional engagement. Meanwhile, the overcast sky represents the pent-up emotions that we are unwilling to face, creating an oppressive shadow that we are constantly trying to escape from. The cup representing Malkuth, here at the bottom of the card, is dominant, as it is the symbol of where debauch draws its pleasure and where it feeds it back to. This is material pleasure, and quite apart from the lonely cup representing Tippereth up here. And it is certainly completely devoid of the supernal triad, which really should be here somewhere, but it's been missed out. This is above the abyss, and if you don't understand that concept, please do go back and look at the Four of Wands video. Essentially, we have become so lost in the material world that all our senses are guided towards it. Indeed, it is as if the cup of Tippereth is actually weeping into those of Yesod and Malkuth. Finally, the Sea of Benar has been transformed into this malarious morass, as Crowley calls it, representing the corruption of innocence and, of course, as I said, the sticky nature of addiction. So now we're going to look at the divinatory interpretations of this card. The Seven of Cups is the chasing of illusions, thick delusions, and sickly sweet temptations. It refuses to see things as they really are in favour of our next spike of ecstasy or escapist peace. And that is peace in quotation marks. When well dignified, the card represents letting go of false hopes and promises, rationalising our delusions, and deep emotional transformation. When ill dignified, it represents addiction, depravity, deception, delusion, desire, vanity, and having too many choices. If confronted and transmuted, the Seven of Cups becomes a powerful but necessary awakening process, teaching us not to lower our expectations and limit the true self within the highs and lows of physical and chemical processes. And in the next card, the Eight of Cups, which will be coming out soon, we will see what happens when we do not respond to the lessons that we learn in Seven. But of course, if we do learn those lessons, we will swiftly return back to the wonderful Six of Cups. And again, please do go look at that video if you have not done so already. So thank you very much for watching this video and going through the Seven of Cups with me. If you enjoyed the video, please do put a like down there in the little YouTube bar, as it really does help the channel. And if you really enjoyed today, please do hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you are doing well wherever you are in the world, and may peace be upon you all. Goodbye.